Have you ever sung for joy? I mean, you're so happy you just can't keep from singing. You'll sing anything. You make up a song. You sing your favorite song, the Pokemon theme song, I'm sure is a favorite of many of yours. Or maybe you sing the song that best fits the situation. We are the champions. Or maybe, let it go, let it go. Children like to sing that a lot, every day, over and over and over again. You know, sometimes words are not enough to convey our joy, and so our hearts put music to them. I like to think Mary sang. She sang because grace had changed her. She sang because love had found her. She sang because she had real joy. Not happiness, that's such a fleeting thing. Happiness coming from that old English word hap, meaning chance. It can come and go, but a joy that starts and stays down in your heart. Where? Down in your heart to stay. The early church service did not get that, and it saddened me. Thank you. You know, it's a classic song everyone should know and sing. Mary didn't sing, where's the joy? I got the joy, joy down in my heart. Mary sang, my soul magnifies the Lord, and my spirit rejoices in God my Savior, for God has looked with favor on the lowliness of God's servant. It's interesting, when grace comes, it comes with a name attached, and that brings a joy that can't wait. It may just have to burst out of you in song. Now, most scholars suggest that Mary would not have necessarily had much to be joyous about. Life itself probably made her feel small. We romanticize her story, but the angel Gabriel, had he not called her name, she may have gone through her whole life invisible. She was part of a conquered people, occupied people. Scholars point out that she was probably poor. As an unmarried woman, she was lacking status. She was engaged to Joseph, part of an arranged marriage, no doubt. We must assume that Mary came from some family line, but we are not told much about them. We don't know if Mary was righteous or faithful to the commands. We are only told that she is a young, unmarried, impoverished girl. In her world, she would all be but unnoticed. She was a nobody. Have you ever felt like a nobody? Unseen, unknown, uncared for? I think Mary did. But all that changes when the angel of God calls her by name. Mary, do not be afraid. The Lord has found favor with you. And so she sings. There's something profound about someone knowing your name. You feel seen, known, valued. There's a certain human need to be known, to be called by name. It declares that we belong, that we matter. It brings us joy to be seen and known and named, to matter to someone enough that they know your name. When I came here, I was thankful you have name tags. There were a lot of you, and I knew I didn't have much of a chance learning everyone's names without name tags. I remember one day a woman forgot her name tag, and she asked if I knew who she was. When I was able to, you're laughing like it's going to be a bad story. Little faith choir, come on. But when I was able to say her name, I could see the joy it brought her. Her friends later said how special that made her feel and confident I'd be an okay pastor after all. It feels great to bring joy to someone that you know them. Now, on the other side, my first Christmas Eve here, I was walking around greeting people before the service when a couple asked if I knew their names. Now, I knew them. I really did. But in that moment on the spot, suddenly I started filling with doubt. Like, well, did I know their names? What if I say the wrong name? Suddenly, I couldn't pick it out of my brain. I'm getting older, you see. That happens as you age. Now, I could make an excuse like it was Christmas Eve and I'd already done several services, that there were tons of people and I was trying to get ready for worship, but I just failed. I could see the disappointment in their faces, and when I greet them now, I always try to say their names. There's a basic human need to be known, not famous. That's something else altogether. But we need to be known. I think that's why there's something so powerful about the tomb of the unknown soldier. A vigil was kept there day in and day out, rain or shine, heat or cold. It's an acknowledgement of our failure to know the dead, but our wish to somehow still honor them in any way we can, even if we can't know their name. I think this text is telling us that while the world has to have unknown graves, plain white crosses, John and Jane Does, God always knows who they are, who we are, and calls us each by name. The first grace of Christmas is the promise that God knows your name, and so we can rejoice. Mary was one of those people that the world passed by. So no wonder when the angel calls her name, "Do not be afraid, Mary." She sang. She sang because grace had changed her. She sang because love had found her. She sang because joy couldn't wait. Joy came right up to her and called her by name. Joy wouldn't wait to burst forth when she was known and found. So she goes to Elizabeth's house, and there the baby and Elizabeth, that leaves with joy too. And so it says Mary said these things, but the words, the way it's written, kind of comes off as a song or a poem. It's what we call the Magnificat, after the Latin word of the first word in that song in the Latin, that Magnificat, where she says, "My soul magnifies the Lord, and my spirit rejoices in God my Savior, for God has looked with favor on me." God knows me. Little old me from a small town in an occupied country, someone of seemingly no importance. But the God of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, the God I've learned about who watches over our people all my life, that God knows my name. When grace comes, it comes with a name attached because grace knows what joy is. You may feel small and overlooked and unknown, but God has found you. Love has come, can't stay away. Joy can't wait to find you and call you by name. It's more than enough reason to sing. Joy can't wait to call you by name, to know you. Last year we took Verity on the Holly Jolly Trolley, and we had a special treat because Jillian Miller, one of our members here, was our trolley guide. Well, who should stop by on the trolley but Santa himself? Comes on the trolley, Santa looks around, sees Verity and says, "Hello, Verity," and walked right up to her. Now, Verity couldn't believe it. Her face was just like, shh. She's like, "He knows my name. Santa knows my name." Santa then said that she was on his nice list, and Verity actually peeked and saw the list, and her name was right up on the top. "I see my name, I see my name. It's at the top of the list." Now, she remembers that, let me tell you. This past summer, we were up in New York, and we went to Santa's workshop outside Lake Placid, New York. Some of you mentioned you'd been there. It has not changed one bit since 1955, let me tell you. But we went and we saw Santa, and the first thing Verity says is my name still at the top of your list? Now, she asked because my uncle Jim said that he heard another little girl's name was at the top of the list. Verity wasn't having any of that. She went straight to the top to find out. Last Saturday, we went to the Hershey Pantry Cafe over at the Hershey Story Museum for breakfast with Santa. So she asked Santa, "Is my name still at the top of your list?" See, I like to think that Santa has this list that every boy and girl's name's always at the top. Because in that moment, that person matters the most. I think that's how it works with God. We're all at the top of God's list. If an angel came and saw you, called you by name, like you You have found favor with God. You are on the top of God's list. It brought such joy, though, in that moment, Santa coming on the trolley, knowing her name. Oh, to hear her talk the rest of the Christmas season. Santa knows my name. I'm on his list. As soon as Santa called her by name, joy couldn't wait. I think that's what really made Mary sing. I mean, yeah, it's pretty cool to carry the Savior of the world and all that, but how much does that register right away? But the God of the universe, knowing your name and saying, you found favor with God. You're at the top of my list. You are special. Does it matter what anyone else around you says at that point? When the God of the universe, the creator of all things, calls you by name and says, you are something special. The promise of Christmas is that God knows your name. There are unknowns in life, but God found Mary and God has found you. Like Santa coming on a trolley and calling out a child's name, God has come to earth in human form to call you each by name. You are known and loved. Joy has come into the world in the simplistic beauty of a God who knows our names. And so Mary sang. She sang because grace had changed her. She sang because love had found her. She sang, my soul magnifies the Lord. My spirit rejoices in God my Savior, for God has looked with favor upon the lowliness of God's servant. When grace and joy comes, it comes with a name attached. And since it is often and is always your name, we can all sing. So why wait? Let us stand and sing together.